Introduction. Donald Trump, who is now 77 years old, is preparing for another presidential election in November, aiming for a rematch against Joe Biden. However, this time he will be running as a convicted felon. Trump has become the first former president in the history of the United States to be criminally tried and convicted. The conviction relates to him falsifying business records concerning a hush money payment to Stormy Daniels, an adult film actress. In addition to this conviction, Trump is currently facing 3 other criminal cases that have not yet gone to trial. Beyond these criminal cases, he is also involved in several civil cases, many of which relate to his business empire, a key part of his public image. Some of these cases include significant legal appeals, such as one that questions whether he can claim immunity from prosecution as a former president. This situation creates a very complex legal scenario. Here, we will focus on the 4 main criminal cases Trump is facing, explore what might happen next, and discuss what's at stake as he attempts to return to the White House. The hush money payment case. What's it about? This case revolves around a payment made to Stormy Daniels shortly before the 2016 election. Daniels was paid $130,000 to remain silent about her claim that she had an affair with Trump, a claim he denies. While making hush money payments is not illegal, the issue in this case is more technical and centers on how Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, who paid Daniels, was reimbursed, and how this reimbursement was recorded in Trump's business accounts. Trump was found guilty of falsifying his business records by falsely stating that the reimbursement to Cohen was for legal fees. Jurors listened to weeks of testimony and ultimately found him guilty on all 34 counts of fraud related to campaign finance laws. Trump has claimed that the case is politically motivated. After the verdict, he told reporters, "This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial." When was the trial? The trial, which was the first criminal trial of a US president, began in mid-April and concluded on May 30th. Michael Cohen, the prosecution's key witness, testified that Trump knew about the scheme to disguise the payment. Trump's lawyers tried to discredit Cohen by portraying him as an unreliable witness and a convicted liar. The jury deliberated for 2 days before delivering a guilty verdict. Could Trump go to prison? Each of the 34 charges carries a maximum penalty of 4 years in prison. However, a judge could potentially sentence Trump to probation instead of jail time if he is convicted. Most legal experts believe that it is unlikely Trump will be jailed and that he is more likely to face a fine. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, a Democrat, used an unusual strategy to elevate these charges from misdemeanors to felonies. 2020 election interference. What's it about? This case investigates whether Trump illegally conspired to overturn his defeat in the 2020 presidential election against Joe Biden. Federal prosecutors allege that Trump pressured officials to reverse the election results, knowingly spread false information about election fraud, and sought to use the Capitol riot on January 6, 2021, to delay the certification of Biden's victory and remain in power. Trump faces 4 criminal counts in this case, including conspiracy to defraud the US and conspiracy against the rights of citizens. Some people had speculated that he might be charged with insurrection or aiding insurrection, but these charges were not included. Trump has denied any wrongdoing and has claimed that the Biden administration is behind the prosecution. When's the trial? The trial has been postponed indefinitely, while Trump's appeal is under consideration. The Supreme Court is set to rule on Trump's argument that a former president cannot be prosecuted like an ordinary citizen. The justices heard the case on April 25th and are expected to make a decision by June. This delay increases the chances that the trial may not take place before the November election. If Trump wins the election, he could potentially pardon himself or order the charges to be dismissed. Could Trump go to prison? The penalties for the charges in this case are significant. Conspiracy to defraud the US is punishable by a fine or up to 5 years in prison. Obstructing an official proceeding carries a penalty of up to 20 years in prison. Conspiracy against rights can lead to up to 10 years in prison or a fine. However, there are logistical, security, and political challenges that might prevent Trump from actually serving time in jail. even if convicted. A conviction at trial would put the US in an unprecedented situation. Georgia election interference. What's it about? In this case, Trump and 18 other defendants are accused of conspiring to overturn his narrow defeat in the state of Georgia during the 2020 election. The investigation, led by Georgia prosecutor Fani Willis, began in part because of a leaked phone call in which Trump asked Georgia's top election official to find 11,780 votes to overturn the election result. Trump faces 10 criminal counts in this case, including a violation of Georgia's Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO. Initially, he faced 13 counts, but this was later reduced. Trump has pleaded not guilty to all charges. When's the trial? A trial date has not been set. The timeline is complicated by an effort from Trump and his allies to disqualify prosecutor Fani Willis due to her romantic relationship with a man she hired to work on the case. An appeals court has tentatively scheduled a date of October 4th to hear oral arguments regarding Willis's disqualification. Could Trump go to prison? The racketeering charge carries a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. To secure a conviction, Georgia prosecutors would need to prove that there was a pattern of corruption by Trump and his co-defendants aimed at overturning the election results. Additionally, making false statements carries a penalty of 1 to 5 years in prison or a fine. Mishandling classified documents. What's it about? This case examines whether Trump mishandled classified documents by taking them from the White House to his Mar-a-Lago residence after leaving office. It also investigates whether he obstructed the FBI's efforts to retrieve these documents and hindered the criminal investigation into his handling of them. Most of the charges in this case involve the willful retention of national defense information, which falls under the Espionage Act. There are also 8 individual counts, including conspiracy to obstruct justice, withholding a document or record, and making false statements. Trump has pleaded not guilty to all charges. When's the trial? The original trial date was set for May 20th, but has since been cancelled, with no new date immediately set. The delay is due to several pending pre-trial motions, which the judge deemed necessary to resolve before proceeding. Trump and his legal team are pushing to delay the trial until after the November presidential election, and the judge's postponement works in their favour. Could Trump go to prison? The charges in this case could lead to substantial prison time if Trump is convicted. Each count under the Espionage Act carries a maximum sentence of 10 years. Other counts, related to conspiracy and withholding or concealing documents, each carry maximum sentences of 20 years. However, due to the logistical, security, and political challenges involved in jailing a former president, many experts believe that a conventional prison sentence is unlikely. Conclusion. In summary, Trump's legal battles are numerous and intricate, with significant implications for his political future and the upcoming 2024 election. These legal challenges add layers of complexity to his campaign as he navigates through a maze of criminal and civil cases while striving for a return to the White House. The stakes are extraordinarily high, not just for Trump, but for the entire nation, as it closely watches how these unprecedented legal scenarios unfold. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. It would help us to be motivated to do content like this in the future.